Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Stadhalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Sharanyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gauramanu Vishtam Purnam Radha Dasyam Pradayakam Rupanugacharya Varyam Rupamanjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Karunayam Yugacharya Narayanam Vanchakalupatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Twise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismira Hasar Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindai Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshava Sacha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Sattvatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramu Ramo Ramo Hare Hare. So first of all I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradattama Shri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudeva, and to my most worshipable Shikshan Sannyasa Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vigyana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So today we are going to read the very famous and important article that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, entitled Sri Gouranga Samaja, the Society of Sri Gouranga, in which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur will describe what is the mission of Mahaprabhu, how we should see it, how different people see it, and so many different types of aspects concerning the family and the society of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he starts explaining that only those who have faith in Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu are part of his society. So after thorough deliberation, we have concluded that mankind will greatly benefit through Sri Gouranga Samaja, the society of Sri Gouranga. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has said, Jeva Mane, Saba Tara Das. Everyone is a servant of Sri Chaitanya, even if someone accepts him as Bhagavan and others do not. Indeed, every Gauriya Vaishnava accepts that Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna himself, the absolute truth. So this is a parallel verse which appears in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 6.85, which says, Keha mane, keha na mane, sabatara das. Everyone is a servant of Sri Chaitanya, even if someone accepts him as Bhagavan and others do not. So the first thing that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur remarks is that even if you don't believe Mahaprabhu is God, but you somehow have any type of faith for him, even as a saintly person, even as a social reformist, anything like that, you will be part of that society. Constitutionally, every living being is a servant of Shri Krishna. However, many do not accept this because they are afflicted by offenses. Such people will certainly neglect this Sri Gouranga Samaja. So what will the society do but remain indifferent to them? Those who hold Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu in high regard will participate in this society with one pointed focus. What doubt can there be in this? Three types of people have faith in Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu. First, those who have faith that he is a Supreme Lord. Second, those who have faith that he is the topmost devotee. And third, those who categorize him as a great personality. However, as all three types respect Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu, they can be included within this society. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur always very inclusive. He's very, he's very universal, always. He's not sectarian. He's non-sectarian. And he's very, I think this is the word, he's very inclusive.
Open-minded.
Huh?
Open-minded, maybe.
Yes, very, very open-minded. And he's always trying to take the best out of something, no matter what. So here he's including even those who believe Mahaprabhu is not God, maybe a normal human being, mortal being, but because they have faith for him, okay, so they are accepted in that society. Those who perform bhajan of Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu, knowing him to be the Supreme Lord, are his one-pointed devotees who are counted among his intimate associates. This category is further divided because even though some people know Sri Gouranga to be the Supreme Lord, they may not consider him the object of their bhajan. Nonetheless, there is no doubt that everyone in this particular category demonstrates love for Sri Gouranga. Those who consider Sri Gouranga to be the topmost devotee will certainly propagate love for Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu, Gaura Prema, from time to time, even if they belong to another sampradaya. Persons in this category can never become disinclined to the promotion of Sri Gouranga Samaja. And those who consider Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu to be an ordinary devotee and a native social reformer also belong to his community. If the second and third categories are not included in the society of Sri Gouranga, then this society cannot be said to benefit the public at large. Taking care to bring them within the community of Sri Gouranga is thus an intelligent act. So very non-sectarian discourse of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's saying no matter how they see Mahaprabhu, just bring them in, accept them, don't become, against them, don't criticize them, don't become fanatic. Don't keep criticizing them because they don't believe he's God. Try to increase that faith in Mahaprabhu more and more. So, and by that, one day perhaps they will actually understand. So this is the real Vaishnavism. So one question must be considered here. Does Sri Gouranga approve of such a society or not? This is a good question. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he put his idea, but maybe Mahaprabhu may approve it or not. So now let's see. If we examine the Shastras pertaining to Bhakti, we will observe that Sri Gouranga personality established the foundation of such a society during his Prakata Lila, or manifest presence. O reader, do you remember that in the holy place of Varanasi, a grand assembly was held in honor of Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu? It was organized by the Brahmana from Maharashtra, who was an exceptional devotee and an associate of Mahaprabhu. He invited all the Shankarite sannyasis, means follower of Shankaracharya, and other Paramahamsas of Kashi, and specifically requested Srimad Mahaprabhu to join that assembly so that Mahaprabhu would bestow his mercy upon them all, as well as manifest some of his opulence. Astonished upon beholding Sri Mahaprabhu's grandeur, those sannyasis rose from their seats and offered him, the Lord of our hearts, the most elevated sitting place. That pastime is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, very well described. If you can read it later on, you're going to get more details on that. So in that assembly, Srimad Mahaprabhu preached Shuddha Swabhakti, or pure devotional service to himself, and thus became worshipful by all of those present there. The sannyasis, their eyes brimming with tears, took shelter of his lotus feet. All varieties of people participated in that grand assembly, which was made more glorious by the presence of Paramahamsa sannyasis, a multitude of brahmanas who were engaged in fruitive activities, countless worldly-minded people, devotees from every sampradaya, and the most elevated pure devotees, such as Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Chandrasekharacharya, Sri Tapana Mishra, and Sri Paramananda Kirtaniya. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Aradinne gela Prabhu sevi prabhavane tekilena vaisyachena sannyasira gane. Adilila 7:58. The next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to that Brahmana's residence and saw the sannyasis of Varanasi sitting there. Vasya korilo kichu asharja prakash mahate jonmaya vapukoti suryabhas. Adilila 7:60. Sitting on the ground, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his mystic power by manifesting extremely effulgent bodily luster, as bright as millions of suns. Prabhave akarshilo saba sannyasi raman, utilo sannyasi saba charya asan. Adilila 7:61. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's brilliant bodily effulgence attracted the minds of the sannyasis, and they respectively rose, giving up their sitting places. So it's very beautiful how Mahaprabhu appeared in the middle of those Mayavadis. And Mahaprabhu used the best way to defeat, their pride, because by argument, philosophical argument, maybe it wouldn't be possible. But as soon as Mahaprabhu displayed his mystic powers, then no one had doubts about who he was. He was definitely not an ordinary person. So by that, they became open to hear anything Mahaprabhu would say. Apane prakashananda hatete dharya vasila shava madhye shamana korya. Adilila 7:65. Prakashananda Saraswati, however, personally caught Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the hand and with much honor seated him in the midst of the assembly. Prabhura mishtava keshuni sannyasi ragan chitta firigela kohe madhura vachan. Adilila 7:99. After hearing the sweet words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the minds of the Mayavadi sannyasis were moved, and thus they spoke pleasing words. Je kichu kohile tumi shava satya hoy, Krishna prema sheipai jara bhagyadai. Adilila 7:100. Dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all you have said is completely true. Only one whose good fortune has awakened attains Krishna prema. So by that example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is showing that at that moment, all those different categories of people which he mentioned earlier, they had faith for Mahaprabhu. So that Samaja was exemplified by this pastime. So there you had the pure devotees like Sanatana Goswami Pad, Chandrasekhar, and others who believed Mahaprabhu was God himself. Then you have many brahmanas and many other like devotees who from different sampradayas who believed he was a pure devotee, but not God himself, but a pure devotee. Then you had the Mayavadi sannyasis who believed he was a great saint or a great social reformer or things like that. Like some type of Mahatma, like that. By reading this narration, we can certainly understand that the original Sri Gouranga Samaja in the house of the Brahmana from Maharashtra was manifested by the desire of Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu. If he bestows his mercy upon us, the present society of Sri Gouranga will achieve similar success. If those who honor Sri Gouranga constantly cultivate an understanding of his glories, they will become supremely pure Vaishnavas within no time. Moreover, even if those who do not honor him at all attend the society's assemblies and thereby regularly hear sweet narrations about him, they will also become gentle at heart. Moreover, they will eventually relinquish the impurity of their adherence to other sampradayas and become wholly pure bhaktas of Gouranga. As Srila Kaviraja Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 2.87, Jivanahi bhuje keha shunite seha ki adbhuta Chaitanya charita Krishna upajive priti jani bera sirariti shunile borohoi hito. If one does not understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wonderful life and pastimes, but nonetheless continues to hear about them again and again, love for Krishna will be aroused. Gradually, one will come to understand the tradition of Rasa, the loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis, and other associates of Vrindavan. Thus, simply hearing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awards the highest benefits. So according to the scriptures, there are three categories of Vaishnavas, Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanishta. Among them, the Uttama Vaishnava or topmost devotee does not belong to any society. Nonetheless, his merciful presence in Sri Gouranga Samaja will bring it much benefit. He inherently sees all beings in relation to Bhagavan. Therefore, he does not differentiate between what belongs to him and what belongs to someone else, because he sees every living entity as situated within the Supreme Absolute Truth. He does not distinguish between friend and enemy, or devotee and non-devotee. In this way, he does not feel also part of any type of material designation. Or you are this society, that society, this mission, that mission, this Gauriya, that Gauriya, this Sampradaya, that Sampradaya. No. For him, there is no any type of frame in which you can put people. He's just seeing everyone already connected in their spiritual transcendental form and relation with Bhagavan somehow. But anyhow, they should be counted among the Gouranga society, of course. Sri Haridas Thakur, the topmost Vaishnava, possesses all these bhavas or moods. Nonetheless, he has particular affection for the Bhakta Goshti, the community of Bhaktas, and he is devoted to the preaching of Bhakti. As stated by Srila Sanatana Goswami in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antalila 4:100. Avatara Koriya Prabhur Nama Prachare, Say Nija Koriya Prabhu Karena Tamara Dware. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended with the mission to propagate the importance of chanting the holy name. Now he is accomplishing his own mission through you, Sri Haridas Thakur. Pratyaha Karatina Lakshanama Sankirtan Sabara Age Korona Mera Mahima Kathan. Daily you are chanting 300,000 holy names and speaking the glories of the holy name before all. Apanyachara keho na kare prachara, prachara karina keho na kare nachar. Some persons behave properly, but do not preach the glories of chanting Sri Nam. Whereas others preach, but do not behave according to the principles. Achara pracharana mera kara dui karjo, tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatira arjo. In relation to the holy name, you both behave in an exemplary way and preach to others. You are the guru of all. You are the topmost devotee in this world. Means you are the best Arya. To me, Jagatira Arya. Arya means the Aryan race, means those who are the best of all people. Means the godly people, the people who follow Sanatana Dharma. They are called Aryans. So here they're saying that Srila Haridas Thakur is expert in practicing and preaching. So this is what we should expect from all devotees. But sometimes some devotees, they preach very well, but they don't actually follow the principles nicely, and vice versa. They may follow very nicely, strictly, and chant and practice, but they do not preach. So that is not the ideal thing. So the Vaishnavas on the Madhyama or intermediate level remain under the guidance of Uttama Vaishnavas and are the benefactors of Kanishta Vaishnavas, or the neophyte devotees. Therefore, Uttama and Madhyama Bhaktas are qualified for the bhajan section of Sri Gouranga Samaja. Now there is a footnote here saying that according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the society of Sri Gouranga has two divisions: the bhajana section and the section that focuses on external work. It means the preaching. The division a person belongs to depends on his adhikar or qualification. So although they may occasionally participate in the activities of the working section, means the preaching and dealing with society and management and all these things, they do not manifest their competence in such work like the Kanishta devotees who are fond of it. However, with the assistance of the Kanishta Vaishnavas, they accomplish whatever work needs to be done. Here's a very, very sensitive point, very important thing to little bit dive. What Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying very clearly is that, look, Uttamas and Madhyamas, at least he should be Madhyama, at least, not Kanishta Madhyama. He will be always engaged in bhakti only, speaking Harikatha, chanting the holy names. He's not interested in establishing this committee, that society, this project, that party, this meeting, that meeting. No. He's only interested in chanting and remembering and guiding. But Kanishta Adhikaris, they're fond of what? Oh, this type of social work. Making seminars, projects, this society, this meeting, that meeting, this group, that group, making t-shirts, making hats, making bottoms, all these kind of things, because these things will engage their senses, and also many times they're prachishta as well, because they want to be the leaders, they want to be the many things, like the managers, things like that. So they're always busy for all these things, but not much into preaching and practicing this in the true sense, But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, however, with the assistance of the Kanishta Adhikaris, they can accomplish whatever work needs to be done. After all, we live in a society that needs such type of formality, organization, structure, bureaucracy. We have to walk in those paths. Otherwise, we cannot maintain the society, right? So then, even just to keep their own disciples, all these are needed. You want to make a temple, build a temple. Okay, you need to be registered in the society. You need to pay taxes. You need a name. You need some committee members. Is needed. So at the same time, Madhyamas, Uttamas, they want to build temple. They want to establish tiri. They want to speak Harikatha. But for that is needed all these mundane activities, and they use the Kanishtas to accomplish those things. I'm not saying this is bad to do what Kanishta is doing. No, it's good. At least they're engaging in bhakti in service, according to their adhikar. It's necessary. Otherwise, a society of Mahantas only cannot progress. And that is why we had those 200 years of dark times in Gaudiya Sampradaya, because of the stop of this external work and the preaching, and the organization and things like that. We had only Babajis absorbed in bhajan. Then what happened? The Apa Sampradayas, they took over, because they are maybe not even Kanishtas. And they are only absorbed in business. So they can organize very well the public. They can create attractions for the public. They can channel all these people, and they can, divert all of them, and they can be successful for many generations in preaching. And when we were like completely just watching things to, degrade. Then when came Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself, he said, no, now it's time to change this scenario. We need now to literally lift our shirts and our sleeves and do it. Now we should preach. Now we should go for all this, type of preaching strategy. Okay, so now continue here. Vaishnavas in the bhajan section of Sri Gouranga society commonly take pleasure in Nirjana bhajan. I was just speaking about that. Nirjana bhajan means solitary bhajan. Absorption in the holy name. And in Ishtagoshti, gathering like-minded devotees to discuss their Ishta, means their worshipful Lord, and thus attain much satisfaction and pleasure. If you read Java Dharma, this is all about that. Java Dharma, when Brajanath, he's going to Raghunath Babaji Maharaj, they're only doing Ishtagoshti and bhajan, Nirjan bhajan. During the day, everyone is sitting separate in their own kutirs chanting. At night, in the evening they come, they join, they do arati, they do kirtan, then they speak Harikatha together. That was all about the Gaudiya devotees' activities at that time. So there are two types of Ishtagoshti: personal practice, achar, and missionary work, prachar. To maintain their practices, such Vaishnavas remain engaged in reciting and hearing scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, and in performing Harinama Kirtan. At the time of preaching, they impart knowledge of Bhagavat Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Rasa Tattva, and the glories of the holy name of Sri Hari, according to the qualification of the listener. The General Society of Gouranga was founded during the Lord's manifest pastimes in Varanasi, and the Ishtagoshti process was also established at that time. Vaishnavas participated in some form of Ishtagoshti even before the advent of Sri Gouranga. At Mahaprabhu's time, also those Ishtagoshtis were known as the Assembly of Gouranga, or the Vaishnava Assembly. Once, while in the Ishtagoshti with all his associates at Siddhabakula in Puridham, Mahaprabhu spoke to Shri Rupa Goswami. Prabhu kohe kaho kene koro sanko chalage laje grantira fala shunaibo Vaishnava samaje. Antelila 1:130. Mahaprabhu encouraged Rupa Goswami, saying, "Why are you hesitating out of shyness? You should recite the good fruit of your writing to the Vaishnava assembly. Without the association of Shuddha Bhaktas or pure devotees, there is no question of holding a Nishta Goshti. So the footnote is, one of the definitions of Shuddha Bhakta given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is one who is free from the desire for wealth, women, and fame. The word Ishta means desired object, and Goshti means assembly. These two words combine to form the term Ishta Goshti, which refers to an assembly of sadhus who are devoted to Shuddha Bhakti, or the practice of pure devotion. Shuddha Bhaktas are rare in this world, and therefore only a few Shuddha Bhaktas can be found in any single Ishta Goshti. Even a gathering of just 3 Vaishnavas constitutes an Ishta Goshti. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila 4:52. Prabhuashi pratidin milena dui jane, Ishta Goshti Krishna Katha kohe katta khyane. Every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come to meet them, both Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda. And in their Ishta Goshti, they would discuss Krishna Katha for some time. A meeting of only 2 Vaishnavas is called a Krishna Katha Goshti. This is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila 4:136. Duijana Vashi Krishna Katha Goshti Koila Panditera Sanatana Dukkha Nivedilo. When Jagadananda Pandit and Sanatana Goswami sat together for a Krishna Katha Goshti to discuss Krishna's pastimes, Sanatana Goswami submitted to Jagadananda Pandit the cause of his sorrow. So you see how technical is the Vaishnava world. They have definition for everything. So the gathering of 2 Vaishnavas have a special name, Krishna Katha Goshti. From 3 Vaishnavas, it is called Ishta Goshti. So the support is that when all types of people congregate in assemblies organized by devotees or faithful people, a general assembly of Gouranga is formed. A congregation consisting solely of devotees is called a Vaishnava assembly or an Ishta Goshti of Vaishnavas. When 2 Shuddha Bhaktas meet, a Krishna Katha Goshti takes place. And when a single Shuddha Bhakta resides somewhere to exclusively chant the holy name, it is a place of Nirjana Bhajan, or a solitary devotional practice. The people in all these categories are included in Gouranga society. It can therefore be concluded that the purpose of Sri Gouranga's congregation is to cultivate activities related to the eternal constitutional occupation of the living entity, or Jaiva Dharma, throughout the universe. It's good to notice one thing also. There is another meaning for Nirjana Bhajan. The meaning of Nirjana Bhajan, accepted by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, it's not the solitary bhajan, but is the bhajan without bad association. Means without the association of materialistic people, Mayavadis, impersonalists, and like people like that. So Nirjana Bhajan, real Nirjana Bhajan means doing bhajan with pure devotees and pure bhaktas of Krishna. This is also the real meaning of Nirjana Bhajan. So we do not supposed to do alone bhajan, because Mahaprabhu's movement is congregational, Sankirtan. So therefore, to isolate ourselves is not what Mahaprabhu wants. Mahaprabhu wants congregational. So when you join with pure devotees to chant, this is the real Nirjana Bhajan. You can understand very well like that. So by the inspiration of Sri Gouranga Mahaprabhu, Sri Gouranga Samaja has been established in the vast city of Kalikata or Kolkata. This is a matter of extreme good fortune for the public. Now it is the responsibility of every noble-hearted, genuine seeker of the truth to work on promoting and preserving it. This society will not remain undisturbed unless its members vigilantly avoid selfishness, hypocrisy, and the desire for honor and prestige. Now it's coming a very serious point about this article. You should pay more attention. Now he's saying that the society was established in Calcutta, in Bengal. And now he's going to warn the devotees. This next paragraph is very, very strong. He says, in the land of Bengal, these three faults pollute whatever grand mission is inaugurated. What are the three faults? Selfishness, hypocrisy, and desire for honor and prestige. And consequently, that mission is eventually ruined. With folded hands, we humbly beg the big-hearted leaders of this society to remain ever conscious of this. If the members of this society can follow all the ancient rules and regulations of Sat Dharma, or true religion, while remaining unaffected by the true improprieties mentioned above, improprieties mentioned above, the society will flourish. Unite alone is the life of any community. The introduction of a new opinion or the diversions of opinion will destroy the unity of its members and eventually ruin the very life of the society. We, however, will perform Kirtan of Gouranga Mahaprabhu's glories and never be envious of the opinions and activities of the other sampradayas. The most venerable Haridas Thakur has said. So here you can see how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is worried, clearly, because he understands the nature of the Bengali people. This is his own words. And he's saying that Bengali people are very tough and difficult people. And this is one of the reasons why Mahaprabhu appeared over there. Because Mahaprabhu is going to give mercy to the most fallen, the most complicated people. And in India, this is called Bengalis. I know Bengalis have a very beautiful side, very sweet and amazing, gentle side. For me, is my favorite people in India, despite of having this very, very complicated side. But it is a reality because it's the words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he's worried. And we can see now already history can show us examples of that. What happened with some, beginning with Chaitanya Math himself, itself, the mission of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta itself. Big fight took place. For what? For all these things. Selfishness, hypocrisy, and desire for honor and prestige. And later it happened in all Gaudiya Maths later on. All Gaudiya Maths have their problems, all. And you can always see Bengalis are there behind. Although this Gaudiya Math is in the whole India, whole world, Bengalis are also there, present in whole India, whole world. And they will be most of the time, almost all the time, be a threat for the society itself. They have such nature. You know what people say about the English invasion of India? They were only able to take over India because the Bengalis joined them, like mercenaries, Bengali mercenaries. They joined the British and they let British go in. They paved the way for British inside India. This is like in history. So they are very fortunate at the same time. Those who really want bhajan in Bengal, they will progress very fast. Very great elevated souls took birth there in Bengal. So definitely we're not speaking about the totality of Bengalis. We are not in that level, of course, but we should be aware. And myself, I have also my own experience when I lived in Navadip, taking care of Gurudev Samadhi. Oh, I can't tell you, all the things I have seen there. Really, I can't tell. And I remember reading this article by that time when I came to India, and that was like in my mind all the time, echoing. So I thought, no, maybe this is something which already gone, all this thing. But as soon as I started living there, then I say, oh, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words is true, and true. All the way. So anyway, now they're quoting Srila Haridas Thakur here. Shuno Bapa Shabarai Eka Ishvara Nama Matra Beda Kore Hindu Ye Javane Baramarte Eka Kohe Korane Purane Eka Shuddha Nitya Vastu Akhanda Vyaya Paripurna Hoy Vaishe Sabara Hriday Shri Prabhu Ramana Namaguna Sakala Jagate Balena Sakala Matra Nija Shastre Mate Jai Ishvara Jai Puna Sabara Hoy Loy Himsa Korile Sei Taha Himsa Hoy. The Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 1676 to 81. Dear Father, the Supreme Lord is one for all living entities. The difference between the Muslim God and the Hindu God is in name only. All the scriptures, whether the Quran or the Puranas, state that there is only one Supreme Lord. He is the non-dual, eternal, transcendental, absolute truth, infallible and perfectly complete. And in that capacity, he resides in everyone's heart. The Supreme Lord's transcendental name and qualities are glorified throughout the world by various scriptures. The Lord accepts each individual's mood of surrender. When you are violent to others, you are being violent to the Lord himself. Khanda khanda hoy deha joy jai jodi pran tobu ami vadane nachari harinam. Very famous verse, Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 1694. When Haridas Thakur spoke, when he was about to when he was being beaten by the Muslims, he said, "My body may be cut into pieces, or I may lose my life, but I will never abandon uttering the holy name." So this society of Gouranga is certain to develop if its noble-hearted members adhere to the above guidelines. It is essential that they follow certain time-tested principles. In the general meetings of Sri Gouranga Samaja, recitations, explanations, scriptural discourses, and nama sankirtan can be performed. But it would be offensive to hold discourses imbued with rasa or to sing rasa kirtan in such assemblies. This can take place only in Anishta Goshti. It is essential to observe certain principles as witnessed in the character of Mahaprabhu. Why he's saying? Because when all types of people congregate in assemblies organized by devotees or faithful people, a general assembly of Gouranga is formed. So when you have many different types of people with different mentality, you should not go on speaking about Rasakatha. They will not understand and they may criticize. So that's why Srila Prabhupada in most of Gaudiya Mats, all the programs mostly, and preaching programs, festivals, they never touch Rasakatha. Very difficult. Dine Nritta Kirtan Ishvara Darashan Ratri Rai Swarupa Sanira Sashvadan. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antarila 11:12. During the day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed Nitya Kirtan, means dancing and chanting. And he also took darshan of Lord Jagannath. At night, along with Ramananda Rai and Swarupa Damodar Goswami, he tasted the nectar of rasa. It means in a closed place, in a secret place, in a secret meeting, with a proper like-minded Vaishnavas around, then we can discuss this. Of course, here is not saying about a number, it's saying about the type of the group. For example, in Gurudev's parikrama time, hundreds of devotees, thousands of devotees were there, all like-minded, and he was speaking deeply Rasakatha in his preaching programs because there was like public fit for that. But if he's going to any type of big hall with dignitaries and things like that, or first time in some village, he will speak general katha to make sure everyone is understanding that. So this implies that there is no pleasure in discussing rasa in the association of general people, and that such discussions will substantially impede one from relishing rasa. It's a type of offense. This hindrance does not appear in the Ishta Goshti. It is necessary to preserve the etiquette of kirtan when Nama Kirtan is performed. In this regard, it is also necessary to decide what is most effective. If the members of the Vaishnava society themselves perform kirtan, that kirtan will bear the most fruit. Listening to the kirtan of hired musicians or perform for remuneration is both offensive and fruitless. So we should not perform Harikatha like Bhagavata Saptaha, all these things for the sake of money, or prestige, or trying just to attract the audience and things like that. It is vital that Sri Gouranga Samaja exercises great care in its preaching. Discourses and instructions should be strictly in accordance with the teaching of Sri Gouranga Dev, bestowed upon the jivas of Kali Yuga out of his boundless compassion. The responsibility to preach is best given to the members of the bhajan section. Mere eloquence cannot make one a preacher of Sri Gouranga's teaching. If some young, learned great souls attend Ishta Goshti of the bhajana section and therein discuss in a simple-hearted way the teachings of Sri Gouranga, they will quickly become adept preachers. If the society of Gouranga consists of preachers who do not have the understanding that the Lord's name and the Lord himself are non-different, and if they do not have faith that this non-different reality is the supreme absolute truth, Parama Brahma Tattva, they will not confer any welfare to others. Rather, their preaching will only have a negative effect. This is most vital. The only qualified preachers are those who have acquired knowledge about the intrinsic nature of Shuddha Bhakti and who relish Namaras, the nectar of the holy name, being completely free from offenses. It is essential for all preachers to be fully acquainted with Namaparad, offenses to the holy name of the Lord. Those who are aware of these offenses are qualified to preach the glories of the holy name. In disseminating the glories of the holy name, one must also give instructions about the necessity of consciously avoiding Namaparad. Preachers who do not do so will themselves become offenders to the holy name. Previously, we explained that a society of Sri Gouranga that does not accommodate all types of Vaishnavas will be short-lived. That said, the fact is that a society founded with Vishuddha Vaishnavas or pure devotees on the transcendental platform as members is to be regarded as the true Sri Gouranga Samaja. Among the various Vaishnavas in such a congregation, the Vishuddha Vaishnavas are immersed in the bliss of bhajan and are mostly inactive in developing their worldly life. Until those who have an inclination for bhajan become specifically immersed in the bliss of bhajan, they can engage in activities to advance their worldly life. However, if they do not get the association of Vaishnavas who are immersed in the bliss of bhajan, they will become completely materialistic within no time. For such people, it is nothing but self-deception to establish and promote themselves as representing the society of Sri Gouranga without associating with Shuddha Vaishnavas. This is the most important paragraph of the whole article. He's saying, in essence, without a pure devotee, there is no Gouranga Samaja. No matter how much faith you may have for Mahaprabhu, you must be under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, your small amount of bhakti, your faith for Mahaprabhu can be used for self-prestige, and you're going to fall down. Only a pure devotee can regulate, can control, and can direct properly that society. That's the only way. One may certainly be engaged in spreading the holy name of Shri Krishna Chaitanya while living with extremely materialistic people, but without having the association of Vaishnavas who are deeply absorbed in the bliss of bhajan, one's life will go in vain, and gradually one may fall down. Those in the society of Gouranga may see this happening to certain members. However, if they still do not seek the association of those devotees who are deeply absorbed in the bliss of bhajan and include them within their society, what will become of their society? We cannot say. We have examples of that, right? I think all of you have seen in past of devotees who pretend to be members of Gouranga Samaja, but due to lack of sadhu sangha and the guidance, they all fell down. Nowadays, it is seen that the members of Sri Gouranga Samaja are not performing any special activities beyond celebrating the festival of Mahaprabhu's appearance. So now this is the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what he sees at his time. So now we just see people celebrating Gaura Purnima, nothing more, nothing else. It does not seem that by holding assemblies in the homes of 2 or 3 materialistic people, anything significant will be accomplished. If they simply try to satisfy the materialists, anarthas will gradually arise in them. By agreeing with the opinion of materialistic people, they will continue to float on the unending wave of impersonalism. Perhaps you heard about that the Gauriyas were only being called for when someone died, they would come and do kirtan behind the dead body, and that was like what they were doing. So to propagate bhakti to Sri Gouranga, it is essential that in taking the help of materialistic people, one is not obliged to agree with their understanding. To accept conceptions that oppose the teachings of Sri Gouranga in order to satisfy the minds of materialistic people is utterly inappropriate. Respect all beings in this world. Try to remove the suffering of every living entity. While living with others, try to act for their welfare. Never forget, however, to follow the supremely ideal character and absolutely essential instructions of Sri Gouranga in every city. Perform Sri Krishna Sankirtan and propagate Sri Gouranga's teachings. All devotees in Sri Gouranga Samaja, go from door to door with the scripture Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in hands and spread the name and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as Sri Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas to travel everywhere and preach, you also become the servant of Sri Gouranga and go to every country, engaging honest people in circulating Sri Gouranga's message. This preaching mission cannot be accomplished by dishonest people. Immediately establish a Vaishnava school for this purpose. Educate some selfless people of good character and give them the responsibility of itinerant preaching in every town and village. Most blessed indeed are they who can do this. Those who do not follow such a formula will simply be imitating the supremely pure character of Sri Mahaprabhu. So I remember once asking to Gurudev, actually to Madhav Maharaj, what is the Manobishtam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what is the Manobishtam of Srila Gurudev in the sense of means as a society, And then he said, this is preaching and practicing. Both should be there. At the same time that you practice, you should also preach very nicely. That is Mahaprabhu's desire. Mahaprabhu himself, he preached. He engaged his disciples in preaching. Gurudev, Prabhupada, all our acharyas, they also did the same. They practiced and they preached. They gave their whole energy and time. How they could manage, I have no idea. Because if you want to chant 64 rounds a day, and if you want to study, and if you want to do kirtan and harikatha, and still if you want to travel and preach and things, this is like, this is too much. And plus meeting with people, receiving people, discussing, giving initiations. I mean, how is it possible, So, but they have done. They have accomplished all these things day after day, tirelessly. And so if we want to please them, if you really want to please them, we should follow in the same way. To the extent of our capacity, also no problem. Of course, imitating them is very, 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 very impossible and rare. But to some extent, we should try to put in our daily lives these two characteristics, preaching and practicing. This will be very good for us. Oh, but how can I preach? I don't know anything. No, there are many ways of preaching. Assisting the preaching of others is also preaching. First of all, you publishing the pictures of your Gurudev preaching. This is preaching, that you're preaching. You are publishing the Harikatha of your Gurudev. This is preaching. Of course, everyone can preach. You don't need to be a sannyasi or a brahmachari or a very learned scholar memorizing many of shlokas. Is not the only way to preach. And I have seen the most successful devotees in preaching, they are grihastas. They are not so learned, but they have some type of very good, shakti and way of approaching people, and they collect hundreds of devotees. And so this is the best preaching, So, Jare deke tare kohe Krishna upadesh, amara gay guru hoya tare desh. Mahaprabhu told, to whomever you meet, speak about Krishna's name, preach, become guru. Become guru means instruct people about Krishna consciousness. Use the social medias. And in the meantime, you chant. And when you chant, you should only chant. Don't chant and do like this, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know what does it mean? Huh? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It means scrolling the screen of the mobile. Like that. We should only do like this, chanting. So, and then focused. In one sit, 16 rounds at least. In one sit. Focused, concentrated. Early morning if possible. Better. But anyway, anytime. But in one sit, 16 rounds. Then you can move, do other things. And if you have more time, sit again, do 32 rounds. And if you have more time, then you can go for 64 like that. And read books of Gurudev. In between chanting, you can also read. In between chanting, you can also listen to Harikatha and all these things. And take classes, attend Harikatha. And then you become qualified, at least for yourself, you're saving your soul. This is the minimum we can do, at least preach to yourself, right? Beginning of preaching. Every day should preach to yourself. Repeat shlokas, and repeat the teachings, make sure that you are going as our Guru Varga, are desiring, Okay, so this is the end of the article. Very beautiful article, very elucidative. And we are going to stop here. Hare Krishna.